They have showers in there. You just go in and you shower. And you just like change your clothes. I bring a couple change of clothes. I just showered. I come out and I feel like a completely new person. It's just like,
Thank you.
the lounges have, high-end alcohol, free food. It's away from the constant noise of, in the interest of aviation security, the TS, nonstop. I mean, it becomes physically painful after a while.
One day. All right, I know you probably have more questions than answers at this point, but here's what I can tell you. I owe everything to this man, who not only invited me into arguably North America's most exclusive airport lounge, but also shared his awesome travel stories with me, and is allowing me to, in turn, share them with you.
It got under here, and it was this whole area. Talking to a nurse friend, she goes, yeah, that you almost lost your eye. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet Rob Clouse, author of the blog Traveling with Rob, a traveling consultant and true Renaissance man who has accumulated millions of miles, held American Airlines executive platinum status for 15 years running, and spent over 2,000 nights at hotels around the world. But his story didn't start exactly the way you might think. Prior to 2007, Rob didn't even have a frequent flyer account.
And I was clueless, absolutely clueless about any of this stuff. And I'd even worked for an airline before, but we weren't into the loyalty programs. We were worried about the planes working and the crews being there and that stuff. They're like, you got to sign up for programs. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so they gave me all this info. And by the beginning of 2008, I decided I was going to go with American.
But once he caught the bug, there was no going back.
I just started gathering miles like mad. And then in 2011, I was flying 8 hours each way each week. So 16 hours total each week, which is the equivalent of London and back. And that put me as the 5th highest frequent flyer in the world on American that year.
Now, don't take that comment the wrong way. Rob is the exact opposite of a shameless self-promoter. He's modest, self-deprecating, and an extremely hard worker. He's worked his ass off developing his own website, writing hundreds of articles, and uploading thousands of pictures because he's passionate about traveling and genuinely wants to help others improve their own travel experiences. Now, let me remind you that I had no idea who this guy was prior to May 1st, 2023. I had just arrived in Dallas on an overnight flight from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Be sure to check out my video on the first part of that journey if you haven't already. And I was just extremely grateful to have access to a shower in the Flagship Lounge in Dallas.
I was certainly aware of the fabled first-class dining facility. I think it's every AvGeek's dream to be able to access that lounge at some point in their travel career. It seemed very far out of reach. I thought that for sure, American's first-class product would come and go, and I'd never get a chance to see what was on the other side of those, mysterious black doors.
Now, why the heck is this place so dang hard to get into? Well, to put it simply, the access requirements are quite stringent. You have to be flying an American Airlines Flagship First Class cabin, which is only available on 2 aircraft types within the fleet. The 777-300ER, which is used for international flights to Europe, Australia, Asia, the Middle East, and South America, and the swanky A321T, which is used for premium transcontinental routes such as New York to LA. Now, if you're not flying on one of those planes, never fear. American recently introduced a fare called Business Plus, which allows you to access all the first-class ground amenities, even if you're flying in an international business class seat. Now, on my trip back from Brazil, I met none of these requirements. So how did I get in? Well, there's one last criteria, which is simultaneously the hardest and least expensive to fulfill. So pretty much you gotta find a Flagship First international passenger traveling solo and convince them to bring you into the lounge as their guest. So obviously very long odds, but not zero. Plus, for some reason, AvGeeks have a way of sniffing each other out. I was sitting at one of the desks overlooking the tarmac, clearly enthralled by all the wide-body action and also filming an amenity kit review, which is a little bit psycho, but a sure symptom of a flying obsession. And Rob was a couple seats down, parsing through some footage on his fancy Sony A7R2.
And he had his camera out, and he looked like he was an aviation enthusiast, but I didn't know. And so I was a little bit timid at first. He actually made the initial comment. I am so glad he did. What an awesome guy.
So one thing led to another, and pretty soon I figured out he was flying this ridiculous yet awesome mileage itinerary from Minneapolis, Minnesota to Sydney, Australia via DFW and LAX in American's Flagship First Class, and he was traveling solo. We quickly bonded over our mutual love for airplanes, airports, and airlines.
I was like, this guy's speaking my language. Like, we need to spend more time together. I need to get to know this guy. If he had seemed less engaged in our conversation, or less energized about it, I would have sort of taken the cue and be like, all right, yeah, I'll just let this guy do his thing. But so yeah, I didn't want to intrude, obviously, but I sensed there was a longer conversation to be had, and I feel like we both were excited about it. So I went ahead and popped the question, if you know what I mean.
Now, luckily, he said yes. And pretty soon we were on the other side of the tinted glass, experiencing a side of American Airlines I didn't think existed. Now, we'll go through the ridiculously incredible food and drink options that are on offer, but honestly, the people made the experience worth it. Both my new friend Rob as well as our waitress, Ira, who went out of her way to make sure we didn't skip any of the courses. But let's start at the top, and while we're going through the courses, I'll let Rob answer some of the questions I'm sure you're probably curious about.
Minneapolis, Dallas, Sacramento every single week. That was a lot. 2.5, 3 down, and then 3.5, 4 up. It was the only way to get there on American. It was the MD-80, two seats by 3 seats in the back, and those seats were super cushioned. So even 3.5 hours, you're like, yeah, this is all right.
What should I be like looking for in terms of the flavors, the smells, the aromas? Like, I do.
And they served real meals then too, real 3-course meals, like salad and appetizer, then the main, and then a dessert. And it was just those were good days pre-merger. I had these things I started earning called system-wide upgrade, allowed me to take a regular flight outside of the country. You normally wouldn't get upgraded unless you bought a business class ticket.
Okay.
And so I'll use an Advil PM. I'll fall asleep and I'll go out. I'll wake up about an hour before and I'll be a little groggy, and then I'll hit the town. And depending on what time I hit, I'll either just stay up the entire time, or I'll go for a certain amount of time and hit one again. They have showers in there. You just go into the shower and you just like change your clothes. I bring a couple change of clothes in my carry-on along with all my camera gear for my blog. I just shower and I come out and I feel like a completely new person. It's just like, there's food and internet, and you can just work, or you cannot work, and you just eat and drink to an incredible self-indulgent limit. In certain lounges around the world, you can get a massage. The Qantas Melbourne Lounge and the Qantas Sydney Lounge in first class both have spas with masseuse in them. Well, these days it's the 777. What? And it was the 747, but they're gone. No, those are business class, and the upper deck's
loud. The nose.
Yeah, down bottom in the nose is so much quieter, and there's no reason for anyone to be in there but you.
Right.
Because there's nothing in front. Pilots are up top. So I just started posting, and I built my own site to do it all because I wasn't going to use someone else's site because I'm a developer. So, and I started posting, and I started improving it and going with it and building more. The entire blog is kind of my passion. So travel, flying well, dining well, but drinking well, and very unique, especially the rooftop places in exotic cities. I love those. Wings, because I absolutely love wings. I mean, Yes. And then like locations of places that I found interesting when I was going someplace.
All right, before dessert arrives, I just wanted to thank you for watching up to this point. If the aviation world gets you as pumped up as me and Rob, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, just letting us know what you think in the comments below. Given the topic of this video, I'd be curious to hear about your lounge experiences. The good, the bad, the ugly. Just lay it on me. I'd love to hear about it.
And I realized how poorly some of my content was put together. It's like, if I want to tell a story about something, I don't have enough pictures to tell the story visually. And just with words is kind of lame in this day and age. People are expecting to see stuff, video, pictures, whatever. They're not expecting just words. So I started doing that, and I had to modified my travel style significantly since 2017. I just started taking way more pictures. And then I'm like, oh, this camera I think sucks. I'm going to get a better camera. So I got a better camera. I have a Sony A7R2. No, actually, I use an old iPhone, which does 4K at 24 frames per second on a $75 gimbal that I bought. My next thing that I just did that I'm just getting ready to release, full 3D room tours, so you can actually walk through the rooms and zoom in and out and spin all around, look at everything.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, tremendous meal, but even better company.
So yeah, if you've got some time to kill and want to go down the airline lounge or airline seat rabbit hole, especially if you're into One World. I mean, the guy's got it all: Finnair, Cathay Pacific, American Airlines, Qatar Q Suites, of course. Yeah, if you're just looking to be entertained, he's got a good sense of humor too. So if you read his articles, I think you'll be thoroughly entertained and you won't regret it. I'll leave a link in the description to his blog, which is travelingwithrob.com.
his YouTube channel, which is Traveling with Rob. I'll leave things there. Thanks a ton for watching, and I hope you enjoyed getting a peek inside the adventures of an ultra-frequent flyer. It was a true privilege to experience Flagship First Dining, so I also want to express my sincere gratitude to Rob. Thanks again, man.